Extrasensory perception. In studying the complexities of the mind, science is attempting to study the force that had created it. Our sense organs reveal to us only a small portion of the living universe, and our knowledge of it is therefore limited. Insects will gather on ultraviolet rays humans cannot see. Dogs answer to high-pitched whistles humans cannot hear. Humans perceive by touch infrared heat waves they cannot visualize. There are probably many things happening in space and time that we will never be able to perceive with our limited sensory capacity, and many things we do perceive will be incomprehensible to us. Like nature, man abhors a vacuum. He treats events beyond the scope of his present understanding in a way that makes him the most comfortable. Take, for example, the flying saucers, which have become a source of frustration because of continued reported sightings. A great many people mentally comfort themselves by denying they exist and labeling those who cite them crackpots or publicity seekers. Very few, however, admit that the facts are not all in yet. John Dewey said that the intelligent person who uses his mind correctly reserves judgment about a situation until all the facts are known. John Dewey's concept of correct thinking applies perfectly to many aspects of extrasensory perception, or ESP. Scientists and the public alike seem to either scoff at the possibility of such nonsense or enthusiastically embrace it as a scientifically proven fact. Neither is entirely correct. Many thousands of events which are unexplainable within the limits of our sensory perceptions have been reported and witnessed by people of unquestionable integrity. But this is not scientific proof by controlled experiment. The results of laboratory experiments have been, and probably always will be, disappointing, because in most cases these occurrences are not directed by the will. They are limited by the fact that a great emotional need is necessary for the phenomena to take place, and must be a strong emotional tie between the participants. Experiments at Duke University have shown that one phase of extrasensory perception, that of mental telepathy, can be studied in the laboratory. This one aspect of ESP is subject to the will, and Dr. J.L. Rhine employed card-guessing techniques in which he used packs of Zener cards. Each pack consisted of 5 sets of 5 cards each, bearing 5 patterns: a circle, a star, 3 wavy lines, a cross, and a square. The subjects guessed which card was turned up when the cards were picked at random from a shuffled deck. There were 55 cards, so the law of probability would suggest 5 correct picks for each run of 25. After thousands of guesses, the subjects averaged scores of more than 2 to 1 over those attributed to chance, and some beat the odds by over 2 million to 1. Many in the scientific community didn't take kindly to Dr. Rhine's announcements of success and attributed his results to an unusual run of luck. Any professional gambler knows he can hold a good poker hand night after night for hours of play, and that he can also get a streak of bad hands that defy all the laws of probability. So other scientists duplicated his experiments, taking even greater precautions against error or cheating. Some found the results explainable by the laws of chance, while others discovered a displacement effect in the guesses. The card drawn previous to the one turned up, and the next card to be drawn was often guessed out of all proportion to the laws of chance. Certain subjects showed an ability to guess future cards, which neither he nor the experimenter knew, or the last card drawn, which only the experimenter knew, against 1,000,000 to 1 odds. However, because they couldn't duplicate their successful guessing at every sitting, others remained unconvinced. Aside from the great mass of people who only believe what they want to believe, there is a logical reasoning behind skepticism and conviction alike. The logical skeptic attributes all things that defy scientific explanation to coincidence or falsehood. The logical believer is usually one with a first-hand ESP experience, or one who knows and trusts someone who has it. The scientific method was set up to judge facts which can be revealed by the five senses. Since the mind seems to encompass more than our present limited senses can perceive, it can probably never understand itself fully by the scientific method. There are many strange phenomena that science cannot explain away by coincidence or trickery, and many prefer to put them out of their minds. By not accepting such mysteries, they are not troubled by any desire to solve them. The Bah Humbug group has little to say when confronted by the puzzling talents of Peter Hurkos or Gerald Croiset. For years, Croiset had made himself available for serious experimentation. He has repeatedly described in minute detail the person who would occupy a certain theater seat, picked at random by the experimenter. Famous for his work with the law enforcement agencies, Hurkos has solved many a murder case by a power he himself does not understand. He helped the Limburg police solve the murder of a young minor by holding the victim's coat. After a few minutes, he felt that the murderer was the victim's stepfather, who he described him as a man who wore glasses and had a wooden leg. He also told the police the motive. The murderer loved the minor's wife. Hurkos gave the police the location of the murder weapon, a gun, which they found on the roof of the victim's house. One such incident might be called an elaborate conspiracy between Hurkos and the entire Limburg police force, which is almost ludicrous thinking. But that would not explain the many other department successes with Hurkos, nor their careful checks of his honesty. He has, in fact, solved many crimes by an uncanny sense no one yet understands. This may not be ESP, but what then is it? On the skeptic side, an interesting question is often asked. If Hurkos and Croiset, or other so-called psychics, could ferret out a criminal for the police, or do the many other feats attributed to them, why don't they make a fortune at the races? The answer is usually that they only use this great power to help others. This is hard to accept as anything but a naive evasion. These people are human. They have needs like all the rest of us. If they actually are saints in human clothing, they would do well to collect from the racetrack and feed the hungry. It would be more probable, though, that they are limited in their capabilities. Hurkos may be able to hold a stranger's garment to see things about him, but he may not be able to hold a horse's hoof or saddle and tell how fast he will run today. Skepticism about ESP is perpetuated by those too lazy to accomplish much in life, who lay claim to being psychic as a means of being somebody. But aside from the trickery, the lies, the schemes, and the desire to believe, there are many genuine cases of what seems to be extrasensory perception that we are unable to explain. On those that we are able to explain, one theory states that we have an undeveloped sixth sense, which in a very few people is active to a certain degree. A more universally accepted theory among scientists who have studied ESP is that of universal or cosmic consciousness. This theory states that all intelligence is one, just as all matter is one. Scientists now know that all matter is condensed energy, and matter can be disposed of, as in a nuclear reaction, by releasing it as energy. If mind is capable of releasing matter, mind is capable of creating matter from energy. According to this theory, some type of mind created matter from energy, and each religion has some opinion as to what this first cause, spirit, or God is like. And since matter is inert and has no power to move itself, it must be acted upon by some form of energy outside of itself. The intelligence that creates matter from energy, and that can be reduced matter to energy, is universe intelligence, and we all share it. When man thinks, he thinks with a small segment of the one mind of the universe. His mind is a part of one universal mind, although his conscious mind has a feeling of being an individual. Deep in the subconscious, Everyone can draw upon the knowledge of the universal mind if they develop certain trance state techniques. The universal mind knows how every successful business was built and how every future and fortune was won. It knows how to build the exact structures of your vital organs and how to keep them operating smoothly. It has universal knowledge. By this theory, what seems to be extrasensory perception is communication with the innermost regions of the subconscious, which is said to have a connection with the universal mind. Extrasensory perception is possible for anyone who develops the ability to go deeply enough into his own subconscious. Hypnosis, and in particular self-hypnosis, is a means of contacting the subconscious mind. The talented people who draw their creations from their subconscious may be tapping into the universal consciousness without consciously understanding how. The power of the subconscious is awe-inspiring. Health, wealth, and probably other things yet undreamed of are possible if we learn to tap its energy and knowledge. If you become better acquainted with your own subconscious mind, you may have some ESP experiences that will benefit you beyond all expectations.